I think you might have a future in politics. You need to come here and speak to this group. The idea that I, having been freshly minted as Attorney General, would be given a speech out of state seemed like idiocy to me, but I felt like I owed George, so I trundled out to San Francisco and gave the very first speech I ever gave to a national audience. So we are validating his judgment today, and I'll never forget you. Thank you, George. You've been wonderful. I want to thank Betty Jo Hayes, all the other people from Hope who worked so hard, and say just a few words of memory. Mac McClarty and Donna Kay met me at the entrance, and I looked out and saw Joe Purvis. And Joe Purvis, Mac McClarty, and Vince Foster, who shared this backyard with me, were basically my first three friends, along with a guy who lived across the street named Robert Malcolm Byers, and he collected snakes. And once he was over at my house playing, and he opened a closet, which was very dark, and he pushed me in the closet, closed the door, and told me he'd put one of his snakes in there. I am very lucky I survived the fear. And I suppose now grateful to him that he didn't put a snake in there. Later, Joe Purvis worked for me when I was Attorney General, and we had a case before the Supreme Court. And I put my ego aside and I let Purvis argue the case. And I was sitting in the audience looking at my old friend argue this case. And I'll never forget this. Justice Byron Whizzer White, who was one of the toughest guys that ever sat on the Supreme Court, whom I knew, sent me a note, said, "Your boy's doing good." I still have that note. So thank you. I'd like to thank all the members of my family who are here, my distant and far-flung and close relatives and friends, for all of their inspiration. I wanted to say just a few things. First of all, I'm deeply proud that this is part of the National Park Service. One of the most important parts of my legacy to me is that I set aside more land for protection in the continental United States, in addition to protecting the coral reefs off the Hawaiian Islands, which President Bush, thank you very much, made a national monument, than any president since Theodore Roosevelt. This is very important. Will Rogers once said you should buy land, they ain't making no more of it. And I think that at a time when the world's population is 6, when unless we figure out how to solve some of these problems, water and food will be worth more than oil within 40 years. The mission of the National Park Service is profoundly important. We set aside another 1 million acres around the Grand Canyon when I was president. We bought the wolves back to Yellowstone and stopped the gold mining from contaminating the water. And I think I visited and actually vacated in more national parks than any other American president. So I'm honored that the National Park Service is going to be in charge of this. Secondly, when I came here today, I reread all the sections of my memoirs that dealt with hope. And I thought about when I was a little boy, and I thought it was important to have the howling loud trains interrupt Mike's speech and mine. Because when I was a kid, that bridge out there was all wooden. Big timbers treated in tar, so they were black. And the only thing better about that bridge from an aesthetic point of view is the grass runs all the way under it. Before it was just rocks under the black bridge. But I used to sit here and wonder where those trains were going. And wonder if I'd ever get to go there. Now I just want to go home. I got too much going. But I'm going to wait till it goes by. But there's 1 every 50 minutes. But I won't be talking when the next one comes. I'll be